Hi, I'm Harshita Kamath, and I am teaching an upper level seminar in the spring titled Reli482 Sex, Gender, and Religion in South Asia. And it's a course that's cross listed with Women and Gender Studies as well as Asian Studies. The course really stems from my own research interests and thinking about kind of theoretical issues about gender and sexuality and putting them in conversation with case studies in South Asia. So we read pretty complicated theoretical works spanning from Judith Butler's Gender Trouble to Michel Foucault's The History of Sexuality, Volume 1, as well as postcolonial theory, particularly the work of Gayatri Spivak. But in order to make these very complicated readings accessible, we put them in conversation with very specific case studies from South Asia. So for example, when we read Gender Trouble, and Butler talks about the performativity of gender in relation to drag. And so we actually watch the film Paris is Burning, which she discusses in her second book, Bodies That Matter. And then we put that in conversation with Gayatri Reddy's work on transgendered Hijra communities in South Asia. So we're trying to think about kind of two different contexts and putting them in conversation with one another. And similarly, when we're reading the work of Michel Foucault, Foucault talks about distinctions between the science of sexuality, scientia sexualis, versus ars erotica. And in his examinations, he's actually looking at the Kama Sutra as the kind of foil. So we put Foucault then in conversation with selections from the Kama Sutra. And when we look at Spivak's work, she has a question for the kind of study of the subaltern, and she asks a kind of pressing question, which is, can the subaltern speak? So we think kind of carefully about what does it mean to be subaltern, what do subaltern voices look like, and particularly what do subaltern women's voices look like. So to ask or answer Spivak's question, we look to specific case studies in South Asia. We look at the case of a female Muslim healer in Hyderabad. We look at a short story by a Bangladeshi Muslim writer from the early 20th century. And we look at North Indian women's songs as alternate forms of discourse. So while the course is theoretically advanced, we are also trying to make a lot of this material very accessible. And in terms of some of the assignments, the students will do a research paper through the course of the semester, and they'll also be responsible for doing one oral presentation. And this is not just kind of a standard PowerPoint presentation, but rather a kind of creative presentation in which you use kind of alternate media formats like video, music, performance, anything to kind of engage the readings in a different way. So I'd be excited to have a range of students in the course. It's a 400 level course, and that means that it's also open to graduate students, and I'm hoping to have a robust conversation with a range of students.